Yeah, we call this one Cloud Street. It's somehow that house sort of always reminded me of Cloud Street. It's the first Australian book I ever read, and obviously that's not a house for a struggling working class family, but it's a sort of suburban house that sort of somehow is always associated with sort of home. So again, just briefly, recapturing, we're looking at data-driven design. How can we change behavior, and what do we learn from it? So the clients came to us. They wanted a big house, which we generally felt a little bit uncomfortable with. But also, I'm not telling not telling people how to live. But what we said is we want to make this a passive solar design, and obviously we all know about passive solar design, but the guiding design principles are orientation, thermal mass, insulation, windows, natural ventilation, daylight, and then sort of integration with the landscape. And then if you add zoning and operation and use, then you get a low energy home. And if you add solar PV, you get a carbon positive home. Or as sort of Lit Consulting would have said, a substantially carbon positive home. They were very excited when they did the LCA. It's like, hey, this house is amazing. So I'll show you the data in a minute. So yes. So basically, what I do is I walk you through the house. I'll walk you through the house and sort of as you would experience it as a visitor, and then talk a little bit about what the underlying sort of ESD design principles were. Context again, suburban house in Northcote, which has a quite sort of, you can see site coverage actually is still quite low in comparison, and it has these sort of quite a lush sort of green sort of band running through the backyards, which we certainly wanted to our design have integrated with. So again, I'm going to talk about these things, but not in that order. So as you arrive, so this is sort of the main entrance. As you arrive, there is an outside lobby before the front door where you park your bikes, and that feeds a little bit into behavior. If your bike's outside your front door, you're probably more likely to use it. If it's in the back shelf, you think, no, it's too far, take the car. So that's sort of the idea. And then you enter, through sort of a double height lobby, which also works as a thermal chimney. The house is zoned, based on passive solar design principles. Habitable rooms facing north, utilities facing south, and then there's a communal area at the top, the kids area facing the street, then hobby room, garage, utilities sort of facing south, and then it's a second floor that accommodates a main bedroom and then the kids' bedrooms. So obviously, again, sort of these sort of ventilation was an important consideration. Thermal mass. I did say before, you can't always sort of be like thermal mass and be like rammed earth because of its sort of thermal properties, but you can't really sell a material based on the carbon sort of footprint. You sell it for other reasons. Obviously a lot of people find it beautiful. It is beautiful. It's nice to touch. It has very good acoustic qualities, and it's got obviously low embodied carbon and is very good in thermal mass. So the thermal mass basically sort of runs through the house, as you can sort of see on the plan, and obviously moderates the temperature internally. And then zoning, obviously, the renders wall leads into the main living room, and then that can be obviously closed off to control thermal comfort. Parents' access is sort of hidden sort of behind the kitchen, a bit more private. And again, the renders, we played with obviously sunlight. So when you come down the stair, you sort of experience the morning sun. We thickened up the walls it's not a passive house, but we thickened up the walls to increase the insulation, and we also used laminated timber windows with obviously the IP68 profiles that are sort of high performing, much better performing than standard windows. So obviously windows with very, very low U value. But in order to do that, we thickened up the walls, and there's one other reason too. Again, cross ventilation, important. You put your openings diagonally opposite And that also means that they actually get nice views and balanced natural light. And then associated benefits, fireman's pole for the kids to get to the rumpus from upstairs if you're in a rush. Orientation and windows, obviously very clear. You want to collect more sunlight downstairs than upstairs, so there's larger openings downstairs and upstairs. And then obviously that also goes with the use. Obviously you have your communal area downstairs and then your private rooms upstairs. There's a veranda facing north that obviously provides shade in summer. And then as the sort of house, as you sort of walk through the house, it integrates more and more with the landscape. And obviously, the closer you are to the trees, the less house there is. Basically, it's all clad in timber, and the idea is that it's actually that it actually disappears over. No, it won't disappear, but it'll blend in over time. So timber is designed and built to grey off, and as the trees mature, it all sort of becomes one. One thing. So and that's the house from the back. And important is obviously that you can operate it. And again, that sort of feeds into behavior. So we have something very similar in our own house, and it's actually 2 minutes. Okay, I'm almost done actually. So I'm looking forward to the questions. So. But the walls are thickened up that allowed us to integrate the sun shading, and obviously it can easily be operated, and it does change your spatial experience internally. But it also, it's similar to what's the name of that screen? The
Australia.
Yeah.
The screen for the Middle Eastern architecture.
Yeah. So similar to that, you're inside and you have a different sort of spatial experience on a hot day, and it's exactly that. So when you're inside, and obviously, people ask you when they install blinds, we want to look through, and can you have something with a lower reflection rate? And then I said, no, have the higher the more reflective, the better. And on a hot day, you don't want to look outside. It's a different experience. So. And that sort of basically supports that sort of idea. And again, the slide you were all waiting for is the global warming potential, 290% savings. Oh. And that's actually mainly because of solar. I mean, obviously it's performance, the performance of the building fabric, but solar is actually the main contributor to that. So which was an interesting experience sort of for us, which makes us feel a little bit better having designed it. So. And that's the end. Thank you very much.